Hi class, Dr. Anderson here, coming by to speak with you for a few moments, highlight a couple of things. I know this week we're approaching on our first exam in this class, so I want to take a few minutes just to go over a couple of the questions you may have seen throughout the course thus far. Juvenile justice, first we started talking about the evolution of the juvenile justice system, how it's reformed, the different movements we've gone through to get tough on crime movement for juvenile justice. This week you're looking at the causes of delinquency. What is the contributing factor or factors as to why juveniles choose to engage in delinquent activity? So you're exploring those topics. Some key things I wanted to highlight in this class and what we've talked about in your reading assignment outside of the text is concentrating specifically on North Carolina law, and specifically what North Carolina's law states in regards to when a juvenile can be charged as an adult. So in North Carolina, a 16 or 17-year-old may be remanded to adult court even if the offense is not a felony. So make sure you understand, North Carolina, at the age of 16, you may be charged as an adult, even if the offense is not a felony. There's a case going on right now in the news, which is applicable to this course. I would encourage you all to take a moment to research it as you may see it. It may have an extra credit opportunity. And that is with the high school student over at Jackford High School, the former quarterback, who is currently facing charges for sexual exploitation. As you research that case, you'll actually notice that the teenager had sexual acts and photos on his cell phone of him and his girlfriend. No one exploited him. He never texted them to anyone, never sent them off. Police, which has not been identified as to why, was searching or looking through his phone for unrelated incidents. So something unrelated to this, and it's when they came across those photos. So understanding again, now here he is of age, he can be charged as an adult, face up to 10 years for sexual exploitation, and he's one of the individual who's been exploited. So understanding the law and the difference. North Carolina, another thing you want to make sure you understand is when we start talking about age, at the age of 13, you may be remanded into court if they have committed a felony. So at the age of 13, if a felony has been committed by a 13-year-old in the state of North Carolina, they can be remanded over to court. Now, the key thing is a felony. So make sure that you look over that, understanding when you can be charged an adult, when can you go over. I'm going through looking at some review questions to highlight as you prepare for your exam if you have not done so. As of 2010, juveniles cannot be sentenced to life without parole unless they have committed a criminal homicide. As of 2010, a juvenile cannot be sentenced to life without parole unless they have committed a criminal homicide. Unless it's been a homicide, they've taken a life, that cannot happen. A juvenile complaint may only be filed by a law enforcement officer. As you notice, sorry, the phone is ringing. I don't go back and edit my videos, so you just have to bear through it. But a juvenile complaint may only be filed by a law enforcement agent. We should know that that is not correct. Juvenile complaint could be filed by the courts, not just the law enforcement agent. So you want to make sure you look at that if you see that question. Understand the house of refuge and what was the purpose of the house of refuge? Who did they actually target when we talk about the house of refuge? What's the difference between a status offender? Be able to explain and define a status offender. Be able to understand the difference between undisciplined and delinquent. The difference between undisciplined and delinquent. Does that mean the same thing? No, it does not mean the same thing. The loco parentis, what does that mean? And this is going back in the first chapter, and it says in place of parents. In place of parents is if a parent is not there, the government or our society, we're there to help enforce the laws as if we were the parents in place of them. Look at the child saving movement and what was the purpose of the child saving movement, the overall goal of it, and how it evolved. Be able to identify what the federal juvenile court is called. Federal juvenile court is called. Trick question. Federal juvenile court is called what? Trick question. Read between the lines. Hopefully when you see that one, you don't get it wrong. Think about what it's saying. Be able, when you're looking at the juvenile system, so when we look at the criminal justice side of things, and this is highlighted in your textbook, going through the process of entering the criminal justice system, then going through the process of what's equivalent on the juvenile side. An adult sentence is equivalent to what we call what in the juvenile delinquents or the juvenile court case, a disposition. So once you've been sentenced on the juvenile side is equivalent to a disposition, to be able to identify and understand the difference with that. The NCVS, which you've probably seen that before, so I'm sure you're familiar with that, but be able to talk about the NCVS, the UCR, what do they stand for, what do they actually measure, what does it entail, be able to understand the risk factors associated with gang membership, what are some of the risk factors that are associated with that. Let's see, the standard of proof in a criminal proceeding. The standard of proof in a criminal proceeding. What must be proven? And what is the standard of proof in a juvenile proceeding? Two different things. So be able to understand basically what do you need to prove in juvenile court? What do you need in criminal court? What is the difference between those? These are just a few of the questions I wanted to highlight and go over what you may see on your test, making sure that you understand. I had a couple questions about the reading assignments. Sometimes when you see those discussion boards, in addition to reading your chapter, you want to make sure that you read those reading assignments that I outlined. We talk about the juvenile justice, the movement. That discussion board was talking about the evolution of the juvenile justice system. When we first started, into how it's evolved to today and what has been the paradigm shift with that, what is currently the focus with that. So make sure you take a look at that, review your study guide. Let me go ahead and make sure that this is open. Go over your study guide before you take exam one. Make sure if you're missing any assignments, I'm going to give you the opportunity to turn those in. Get those turned in as soon as possible. If you ever have questions, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get right back to you. Your study guide is available. I would highly encourage you to look over that. Look over your previous quizzes that you've taken. Remember, with your exam, I will not reset your exam, so make sure you're ready, prepared prior to logging in to take that exam. If you have any questions, you can feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you. We're winding up. We have about 13, 14 more weeks left in this semester, so just go ahead and knock it out. I look forward to seeing you. I'll talk to you guys soon.